Today I acknowledge that Strathcona County is located on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis Nation of Alberta, Regions 2 and 4. Strathcona County honors the first peoples of this land. We recognize that we stand upon land that carries the footsteps of Cree, Métis, and Blackfoot, among many other nations who have been here for thousands of years. Therefore, Strathcona County has an inherent responsibility to foster healthier relationships with the First People and furthers the calls to action as outlined by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Welcome to Season 2 of You Belong Here, where we're focused on helping you connect with and learn more about the supports and resources in Strathcona County. I'm Herman Villegas. I'm also a Family Resource Facilitator in the Strathcona County Family Resource Network, and I'm your host today. And today, we're excited to dive into building resilient families with our guest, Lisa Bumstead, Supervisor from the Strathcona County Family Resource Network. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
Hi, I'm great.
I'm happy you're here. You're my supervisor, which is great. It's always good to be able to talk to you, specifically talking about families. But, you know, you're going to be our expert today. So can you explain what the FRN is and who is it for?
Sure, yeah. So the Family Resource Network is really here for families of children ages 0 to 18. So starting prenatally with pregnancy supports all the way up until a child turns 18, we're here to support families through various challenges that they might be experiencing, focusing on promoting healthy child development and strong family relationships, fostering some supportive networks. So whether that's helping them to build up those informal or formal networks of support, which might include bridging some connections back to culture and community, really focusing on that sense of belonging along the way. And then ultimately, what it comes down to is just empowering families with information and choice. So it's so important that what we provide and what we're doing really fits the family. It matches their parenting philosophy. Mm-hmm. It's along their family values. It's things that have to resonate with them for it to really be impactful. So that's kind of the overarching.
Yeah, for sure. And give me some examples as to why someone would want to access like the FRN specifically.
Sure, yeah. So we offer a variety of programs and services, and they can look different. So we're here kind of for everyone all along the spectrum. There's some group opportunities where you might want to join a drop-in program. So you're coming out with your younger child to a drop-in program like a Stay and Play or a Baby and Me. It's non-committal. You can just drop by, stop in when it works for you, and hopefully find some connections to others at that program and have some opportunities to really play and interact with your child while you're there.
Yeah, Stay and Play. Tell me more about the Stay and Play, because I know like that space is very popular, very robust. And like, what does it look like to even look to get into a Stay and Play?
It's very easy to go to a Stay and Play. You just need to know the time and the location. And it really is targeted for parents and caregivers of children 0 to 6. So it's an early childhood opportunity for families to get out of the house, meet others, have opportunity to learn different ways to play with your child, to engage with your child. But it is very informal. You come in and you'll be greeted and welcomed at the door, and hopefully you'll find some connections there. We also have some opportunities for school-age children where we might be focusing a little bit more on like skill development, in particular in the areas of social emotional learning, peer relationships, problem solving, things like that. So we have a program called Confident Kids. That's very popular for those children in grades 1 to 3. And those are programs where it is just the child at the program. But we do work very hard to provide information to parents and caregivers about what's happening in the program. How can they encourage that development at home and continue to foster that growth? So that's another opportunity. There's also parent education programs.
Right.
So this would be more for just parents and caregivers, and it's typically based on like a specific topic. So if you're just wanting to learn more about your teen development, you might come out to one of our parent education sessions called Straight Talk About Teens. So that's just sort of like a one-off, hour and a half, 2 hour type presentation where you'll be asked questions, you'll be given information, and have an opportunity to learn alongside other parents and caregivers. We also offer one-on-one support. And again, with that could be something as small as, and I say small lightly because nothing feels small when you're working through
when
a
you're
challenge.
there, when you're in it. Yes.
But it might just be, I think my child might need to access some mental health supports, and I really don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I've never kind of asked anyone about this before. And you might just need a phone call, and you might just need a little bit of information and some direction on where to go. Totally. And we're there for that. It also might be a little more complex. You might have layers of challenges going on in your life that might require a little bit more ongoing support. Maybe you need to meet with a family resource facilitator multiple times over the course of a year, and that's okay. That's also what we're here for. So it really is meant to match the need of the family. And some common things that people might reach out to us for could be healthy pregnancy supports. Totally. So maybe you're pregnant, you don't really know where to start, you're not sure about how to go about getting a doctor. You don't know the things you might need to do to ensure a healthy pregnancy. And we have a program called Health for Two that can address that. It might be something like potty training or toilet learning. You're just like, this is a new stage. I don't know what to do here. And there's like 5,000 articles on the internet that are telling me,
which one's right?
Something different. Yeah. It's all different. And you don't have a clue which one you should trust or where to go next. And it could be things for your school age children, like perhaps they're starting to experiment with drug and alcohol use. You're not sure how to manage that. You need some information or strategies on how to support them through those stages. Or maybe there's some school avoidance happening where they're really not attending school regularly. You're concerned. Maybe the school is concerned. There could be some other behavior happening in community or at the school that others are telling you need to be addressed as well. So kind of from small to big, all across the range.
And I'm assuming, what does this cost for a family?
Oh, nothing.
Nothing.
That is really important part of
Yes.
that. It is free. Everything that we do is free. There's no criteria that you need to reach to be able to access it. It's not based on income. It's for everyone. So depending on what you need is what we're going to recommend back to you as a service plan.
Awesome. I love that. You and I both know that sometimes asking for support, especially around parenting, can be challenging for folks. Can you talk about some of the common thoughts and feelings people have before they reach out to us at the FRN?
Yeah. So I think there's so many things that can get in the way of people getting the help they need or reaching out. Everybody is their own individual self, and it's going to look different from person to person, but really, when it comes to accessing service, I think the biggest challenge is just taking that first step.
Yeah.
People really, really want to do it on their own. They truly believe at their core that they should know how to do it, in particular when it comes to parenting. We see that all the time. I experienced that myself as a parent.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, it's connecting to your own parenting journey as well, too, right?
Yeah, when you think you've got it. You've got maybe through the baby stage and you're like, all right, here we go. I know what I'm doing now. Then boom, like something new happens and you have no idea. You don't know what to do next. You're thrown off balance, and sometimes it impacts other relationships in the family. And then everybody's stress level just goes up, and you're just feeling a bit stuck. So that's so normal. And every parent is going to have this up and down journey through these different ages and stages. And you're going to figure stuff out. You're going to get through it. And then there's going to be something new. And you're going to have to learn something that you didn't know before. And you're going to have to do some trial and error.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really hard. It's really hard to do that. So if you're going back to your question around reaching out for help, I really think if you can kind of move through that a little bit quicker around recognizing, like, I don't need to do this alone. I shouldn't know what to do in every circumstance. I'm not made to just, be ready for parenting. That's not how it works. You don't just have a baby and then know what to do. There is no right way to do it.
For sure.
And it's so individual to the family, the person, the context. So if you can kind of move through that and recognize that you're not meant to do it alone, I think you're going to be so much better off. And whether that means you're reaching out for your informal supports, like you're talking to friends, family, supportive people in your life, and that could be as small as saying to your neighbor, would you mind watching my child for an hour while I go to an appointment? And that's actually really hard. It's actually hard to ask for that kind of help.
Big step for some parents.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so interesting about that too, because I do find that as well with some of the families that we have, or some of the community members that we have, is that they're resistant to ask for a little bit of support because they feel that they're people that need it more. For example, it is kind of like a very, like almost a positive message that they kind of give. It's like, no, I don't need this right now. But there's people that need it more, that I shouldn't get that. And then it takes a bit for that person to realize that they actually do need a little bit of support, and there's a realization there that needs to be taking place, right?
Totally. That happens all the time. Like people will wait until they get to a point of almost crisis or
right.
Just a complete sense of, I have no idea where to go next. I am so stuck and things have gotten so bad. And then they reach out. But I think it's so important to know, in particular with the Family Resource Network, that we're here for all of those moments in time. And the really cool thing, and the thing that I really appreciate most about the Family Resource Network, is that it could be as simple as just learning about a new program or a community event that exists in your community that could make all the difference in your life. So
totally.
If you're a new parent and you've just had a baby, anyone out there who's had a child, had a baby, they're going to know that feeling. It's like, it just like hits you in the face and you're like, wow, I don't know what I'm doing. like even you could have all of the education in the world. You might have your psychology degree. You might be just so ready on paper, and then that baby comes and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's
a
just
little baby just staring at you.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, look, like you matter so much. You've never mattered more to somebody than when you have a child. And you're trying to do everything that you can right. And it's really hard to find your way through that.
Right.
And for some people, it might be as small as learning about this program. And maybe it's just a drop-in early years program where you just have an opportunity to get out of the house. So maybe you don't have any friends or family that are in the same stage as you. Maybe they don't have a baby. They might have had them before. They might be imparting advice to you along the way and still a support. But that day-to-day kind of grind of what do I do today when I'm with a baby just might be going out of the house for a short period of time and getting connected to other people who are in the same stage. And that might be all you need. And that might be the biggest change for you in that part of your life. And then there could be other people in that same stage who are experiencing some pretty severe postpartum symptoms. And the cool thing about the Family Resource Network is we're here for both.
Yeah.
So it's really serving the whole spectrum of what people need. So I hope that people recognize you don't have to have this big giant problem to reach out.
Yeah, totally. And I love that message. So saying that, when somebody comes in and accesses the FRN or accesses anything in Strathcona County, what does that look like?
When you think about trying to access service, in particular in areas of mental health or children with disabilities, it's a big world out there. And there's lots of stuff, lots of information, lots of things to sift through. And people don't know even where to begin half of the time. So we're there for that too. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that we're doing it for people or making decisions on their behalf, but we're really sitting with them and helping them to determine what makes most sense.
Yeah, for sure. So in my noticings as well too, is that what I find is the parents who have younger children, the parents who have babies, the parents who have someone who's in preschool, they're maybe more willing to access that support because that's a message that they might have heard. Even as a young mother or even just or even a young dad, they're like, please go get the help that you need. You might hear that in the hospital. You might hear that somewhere else. But as they get older, they feel that support becomes a little bit more isolating, and they kind of, there's this message that these older children they need to figure these things out by themselves, or that the parenting almost stops. Can you talk a little bit more about that kind of development place? Because I think sometimes some of the myth that happens is the FRN is just for parents of younger kids.
Totally. Yeah. No, that's a really great point. I think, like you said, it is a little bit more in your face when you are a parent of a younger child. You tend to be with them a little bit more frequently, more hours per day. And as they get older, they tend to be away from you a little bit more and in the care of others. And that looks different from family to family, depending on what you've chosen to do in those early years. But when they're young, you typically are going in for more of those regular checkups and appointments. Maybe you're doing immunizations, and people are asking you questions quite regularly. How are things going? Do you need any help? What kind of support do you have? Those are kind of things that come up a little bit more frequently when you have younger children. As they get older, you're more likely to hear about concerns.
Yes,
so you're more likely to
got suspended.
Exactly.
Your kid did this. Yes.
Yeah. So your child's actually causing some issues in daycare. They have bitten another child, and this is a problem, and you need to fix it.
Right.
And if you don't, good luck with childcare because we're going to kick them out, or those kinds of whether or not that's actually what's being said. That's often the feeling that parents can be left with, and from the school system too, right? It's typically you're hearing about your child when there is a problem, when there is a concern, something has come up at school, there is a social or peer dynamic that needs to be addressed, there's behavior that needs to be managed in the classroom. And parents can very quickly feel defensive about that, which is fair enough. And it's so important for us to remember that we have to do this with others. We need to work together. We're not meant to do it alone. So when you receive that call from your school and you hear about something that you are either shocked to hear or you're like, oh, yeah, that sounds about right, which can be the case too.
Yep.
That you don't go to a place of automatic defended. That this is the school's fault and how will I fight for my child in this space and what is the school going to do for my child? But that you think about it like, how are we going to work together to help my child through something that's going on for them? And be curious and learn more about what that is and ask questions. It can be hard. It can be really hard and intimidating when you get a call from a teacher or a principal or a school counselor and they're sharing messaging to you that's hard to hear. It can be hard to be curious.
It can be really tough because those messages are not only something that the parent hears, but the kid hears as well too, right? And that's sometimes it can lead to this kind of perpetual cycle. And so I love that you're mentioning this idea of curiosity, this idea of digging deeper. And I mean, that's the work that we do with our families as well, too, just to help them through and dig deeper as well.
Yeah. Parents sometimes think that they're not needed anymore too, as their children get older, especially when they're youths, and they might appear to not be interested in their parents anymore. Obviously, peers and friendship is so incredibly important to that period of time in their life, and it's so important for us to remember as parents that they still need us and they actually still want us around, even when they may say otherwise.
Yeah, even though they think they're pushing you away, yes.
Everything that they're doing and saying might be giving you that completely contradictory message of like, I do not want you. I do not want you. But they do. And they actually need you.
100%.
And unfortunately, if we get into a pattern of assuming they don't need us or assuming they don't want us, or even thinking they're not going to listen to me. It doesn't matter what I do or say as a parent because they're just going to do what they want. When we get stuck in that space, it can be very hard to go back and create some new patterns. And it's possible. It's very possible. We've seen it over and over again. Families celebrating the little things that make a big difference. So often what we see in particular with parents of older children is that it's really coming back to relationship. They need to go back to focus on relationship with their child and build that up. Just build it, and stop focusing so much on the behavior and the things that are coming out. It doesn't mean that you don't address things. In particular, if someone's getting hurt or harmed, of course you need to address behavior. But where you need to actually focus attention is relationship. And that's where it's going to make all the difference in that parenting space. As soon as you've built that back up, you actually have some more space to talk about rules and to learn more about your child and what they're hoping for, and to really understand where they're coming from.
Totally.
They're not going to tell you about that if you don't have relationship. So, we certainly spend a lot of time in that area. And going back to your earlier point where you were talking about parents reaching out with young children, we highly encourage that still.
Totally.
When you have young children, it's actually the most optimal time to be focusing on relationship and attachment and building those foundational skills with your child. And if they have that safe place, they have that strong relationship and bond with you, they're much more likely to do well in all areas of their life. So it's still worth it when they're older. If you feel like you made some mistakes when they were younger, you probably did because we all did.
Everyone does.
Like, that's okay. And there's still hope. Don't throw in the towel. Like, it's keep going. Right? It still matters and they still need you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that last message about relationship and even just creating that relationship even from as young as a baby and that the relationship changes throughout their life and throughout their life as parents and throughout their life as kids. So that's a great place to kind of lead this off. And is there any kind of last words or last themes that you think of that from this conversation, or something that you want to give to the families or somebody that's listening to us right now?
Yeah, thank you. That's a fun conversation to have. Something I'm very passionate about. I think
for sure,
clearly,
yes.
And I think honestly, just if I can leave people with one message, it's you're not alone. It's probably normal what you're experiencing. Everybody makes mistakes, and ask for help. You're not meant to do this alone. You are not meant to do this alone. So reach out.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lisa, for being here. I really appreciate all your comments and your expertise on this. And I think it's amazing to have this kind of conversation.
Thank you.
So today's episode officially marks the end of season 2. Thank you to all of our listeners for being a part of this journey. And of course, thank you to our special guests who helped make this season so interesting and so informative. Listeners, we want to hear from you to help shape the future of our podcast. Please visit strathcona.ca/youbelonghere to share your feedback with us, and be sure to sign up for our e-newsletter while you're there. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Until next time.